efficiency when you're prospecting is important for you to be able to be as successful as you can. Now, I'm going to share with you some ideas about being efficient when you're prospecting using LinkedIn and or Sales Navigator. I'm going to stay in LinkedIn, but these ideas can apply to LinkedIn and Sales Navigator as well. Consider these ideas I'm going to share with you and then experiment and practice using them. And I promise you, you will be way more successful because you will be way more efficient as you prospect using LinkedIn. Number one, you want to ignore all of the notifications that are happening in LinkedIn while you're working this prospecting activity. Don't get eager to go look at that new network notification or that new message you got or that new notification you got. Those are all, distractors, and you don't need distractors. So don't pay attention to them. You can come back to them later. Number two, if you want to be really efficient, then you want to get all of this other stuff out of the way. Now, I don't say close it all down, but what you could do is take LinkedIn and Sales Navigator, and if you're working a list or building a list, then take those. I'm going to get this tab right here. I'm going to click on that tab. I'm going to hold Shift and click on this tab, and I'm going to drag them down here. Watch what happens when I drag them down. I drag them down, and look, they're all by themselves now. All of those other things are back here, and I'm going to ignore them. I don't have time for them. I'm going to ignore them, okay? Now, I'm minimizing as many distractions as I can. Now, another distraction to minimize is turn off the cell phone, close the office door, tell your other devices, the Alexa device, to not bother you, so do not disturb me. So you minimize as many distractions as you can, all right? Because you want to stay focused. Now, here's another big one. I recommend 2-hour blocks of time. If you want to be really efficient prospecting, it takes at least an hour to get that groove, get moving, get smooth at it, get going at it at a pace so that you really are being effective. So 2-hour blocks of time, and then no more than 2. Because after 2 hours, you're going to get that urge to go look at the cell phone. You're going to get that urge to go look at those notifications. You're going to get that urge to walk down the hall and get yourself a glass of cheer wine or whatever. No more than 2 hours. But again, more than an hour, because you really can't get that pace going in a half an hour. It takes some time to get I call it the groove. All right? Now, practice using your keyboard shortcuts. You really want to practice using your keyboard shortcuts so you can move around this window as much as you can. I have 2 tabs open right now. If I'm in this tab and I want to go to this tab, now you want to use the most efficient thing for you. But for me, on my Mac, Control tab moves me back here. Shift Control tab puts me here. Now I only have 2 open, so I can just hit Control tab and jump back and forth between these 2 tabs, LinkedIn and my Google Sheet. So that's one tab. The other thing is if you have a tab open and you decide you don't want that tab open, for me it's Command W. So look, I just hit Command W and close that tab down. Now, yes, I can come over here and hit the X as well, but I want you to experiment with keyboard shortcuts. I'll put a bunch of keyboard shortcuts in the description in this video because there's Chrome shortcuts, Firefox, Safari, Microsoft Edge. Look at them. You might find that using both hands to move around the windows could make you more efficient than simply using the mouse and jumping all over the place. Whatever works for you to be as efficient as you can. And by the way, practice can help you be more efficient. Let's go build a list. I'm going to build a list. I'm going to look for vice president. I'm going to put quotes around that. By the way, upper or lowercase doesn't make any difference. Okay, vice president or VP. And then VP, and I need a space, uppercase. These are called operators, and I want sales. Now I'm going to hit I'm going to hit enter. Now I'm going to hit people. Now, by the way, when you're prospecting, to be efficient prospecting, don't look for all of this stuff. go to second level. Focus on second level, because the more you know your first level network, the easier it is to get to your second level network. That's another big tip. If you're prospecting, work second level. If you don't have any second level, then you got to bring in third level. Okay. But I really recommend you focus on second level. All right. Now here's another big one. Drive your list down to the smallest viable audience. Now, what I recommend you do is put in location. I want to look in Greensboro. Show results. So 8,700 people, second level, who are vice president or VP and sales in their profile. Drive it down even further. Go to all filters. Come down here. I'm going to put vice president in here. And I'm also going up here to industry, and I'm going to choose manufacturing. I'm going to say show all results. Okay, so now what I have is I have vice president or VP in sales, second level, Greensboro, manufacturing. And again, under keywords, I also have the title. Now this is 436, still a little bit big, okay? But that's probably as small as I can get it based on the filters that I have right here. Now you want to remember the list that you were working. So you either document this or you bookmark this. So I'm going to go up here and bookmark it, put it under prospecting list. I'm going to change the name. I'm going to call it VP. I'm going to call it GSO, sales. And I'm also going to put industry, manufacturing, so that I remember that I'm looking for VPs, Greensboro, sales, manufacturing, and I want to put second. So I'll bookmark that under my prospecting list so I can come back to it later. Now the next big tip. I have 436 records to work. Okay. Now look what happened. This message popped up. Now I want to click on it, but I'm going to hit the X because I am not going to pay attention to things that are distracting me from working. I'm going to work this list. Now here's how I recommend you work a list. You get 10 records. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 records per page. Okay? 44 pages. Start at the top. Look at the first record. Do I want to look at the VP of Piedmont Trucking that I have 2, 3, 4 connections to? Yes, but I'm not clicking on it. Right click, open in a new tab. Look at the next one. Tracy, VP of Tax and Accounting. No. Billy, VP of Sales North America. Yes. Right click, open in a new tab. Work with me here. Watch this. Okay. Then I'm going to go to the next one. VP of Sales Box Board. Yes. Right click, open in a new tab. Go through all of these. Furniture, no. VP Operations, no. VP Better Furniture, no. VP Quality, no. VP ECR Engines, yes. Right click, open in a new tab. All I'm saying to myself is I want to look at those. Get to the bottom of the list and then stop. Now, go work each of the tabs that you just opened. Let's go to Mitch. I'm going to work through here. By the way, look what happened. I got another stinking message that popped up and I'm going to ignore it. Okay. Go to Mitch. I want to work this record. Now, how do you work the record? Here's the steps I recommend. You want to go through this profile as quickly as you can and make a decision. Is this a LinkedIn member that you want to take to the next step? The next step could be to ask for an introduction. Okay. So let's work this. First I'm going to do is I'm going to click on contact info. There's nothing in here. Now I can move my mouse up here and hit the X, or I can simply hit the escape. Look, I'm using both hands instead of just one hand. Scroll down a little bit more. Activity, 9 months, nothing worth looking at. Nothing in here that helps me really understand what Mitch's role is as a VP at Piedmont Truck. And you know what? I don't really have a great connection here. Now, if I want to look at this, I might right click, open in a new tab. Look what it does. It brings it up here. I can look here and see, okay, so I've got some connections, but I don't have really good connections. So I'm going to hit the X, or I'm going to hit Command W. And brings me back to Mitch. You know what? I'm not going to work Mitch because I don't have a really good connection. I can scroll up and hit the X, or I can hit Command W, and it takes me to Billy. Work this one the same way. Scroll through here. Look at contact information. Hit escape. Go down to activity. He's got some activity there. 3 weeks ago, he did a repost. Okay, I can come down here and see he's been working there for 6 years. Come back up top. Maybe I want to look at the company. Right-click on the company. Open in a new tab. I can look here and see are there anybody at this company that I know? I can go down to people. I can scroll down here. You want to really experiment using these tactics. Is there someone I know? Only 3rd level. I don't know anybody else at Dulvatex. I can either come up here and hit X or hit Command W, go back to Billy. Do I know someone that can introduce me? Right-click on Mutual Connections, open in a new tab. Go look at the mutual connections. There's a bunch of people here I know. Here's where I could stop, and I could decide to call Glenda, call Steve, call Chelsea to get an introduction. Now, the moment I decide I want to move this LinkedIn member to another step, here's what I'll do. I'll message these, call these, or whatever, ask for an introduction, close this down, brings me back to Billy, click on the address bar, hit Command or Control C, copy it, come back here, paste it. I've asked Iv, wait for a few days, ask Steve, document that, and then quickly go back over to the next record and then say, I've done all I can do on Billy, close that down. It takes me to Kevin. Work this record. Look at contact information. Look at about. Look at his company. Right-click on the company. Right-click on the mutual connections. Copy the LinkedIn profile URL. Put it over here and save it so I can come back to it later. Then come back to Kevin's record. Command W or Control W. Hit the X. Go to Matthew. Work this record. Close it down. And look what it does. It brings me to the next, back to my search. I can hit page 2. Look, these are tactics that I use, but you want to use tactics that work for you. I recommend that you get used to right click. You get used to using keyboard shortcuts in a browser so that you can move through this as quickly as you can, because the more efficient you are, the more records you're going to look at, the more likely you're going to ask for the right introduction. You're going to do a tactic that gets you a conversation with a new lead. Another idea, something to think about, if you're looking at a record and you're going to send this guy a LinkedIn invite because you've moved that level, you've gotten an introduction, you bumped into them, whatever it is you've done, when you send a connect request, I recommend you always add a note. And in your note, you remind them and yourself how you got introduced, what content you engaged on to say hello to them, where you met them, again, to remind them and to remind yourself later when you're looking at that member and you're looking at your messaging, so that it helps you stay aware of, how did this happen? What did I do? Who introduced me? Where did we meet? You want to experiment with being efficient. And the only way you're going to get efficient is to practice. To practice using keyboard shortcuts. Practice using right-click open in a new tab. Practice copying information the quickest and easiest way possible. The more efficient you get at using LinkedIn and Sales Navigator, the more leads you can touch, and the more likely you're going to touch the right lead at the right time to move them along in the process. Practice, experiment, get purposeful, stay focused, and you'll be better and you'll be more successful prospecting with LinkedIn and Sales Navigator.